Hi everyone, it's Tatiana from Tatiana's Everyday Food and welcome back to my kitchen. So today I wanted to share with you guys another great dessert recipe. Today we're going to be making a Russian cake called Korolevsky Tort, or as I like to call it, the Royal Everything Cake, since we're going to be adding 4 different ingredients into our cake batter. We're going to be adding chocolate, hazelnuts, dried cranberries, and poppy seeds. And then we're going to frost the cake with a caramel frosting, add a little bit of garnish on top, and some chocolate ganache. This is such a fantastic cake recipe, and I'm sure you guys are going to love it. First, I'm going to add 3 large eggs into my mixer bowl. I'm going to whisk these on high speed for about 5 minutes until they're really thick and pale. I'm going to switch out my whisk to my paddle, and now we can add our remaining ingredients. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just going to add a little bit of flavor to our cake. We're going to add 1.5 cups of white granulated sugar, and I'm going to add 1.5 cups of sour cream. And now for my dry ingredients, I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm just going to give this a quick stir. I'm going to add this gradually into my cake batter until it's well combined. At this point, I'm going to divide my cake batter evenly, so I'm going to pour in about half of it into my other bowl here. And now for our first layer. So I'm going to add 1/2 cup of dried cranberries, and I've pulsed these through in the food processor so I have some smaller bits. I'm going to add them right into my cake batter, and I'm also going to be adding 3 tablespoons of poppy seeds. I'm just going to give this a good stir until everything is well combined. And now for my second layer. So I have 1/2 cup of diced hazelnuts, and I put these through a food processor for a few seconds. I'm going to add them right in. And then I also have 1/2 cup of melted chocolate. So I used 1/2 cup of dark chocolate chips, and I've melted them in the microwave for a few minutes. I'm going to add them right into my cake batter as well. I'm going to give this a good stir. This will be our chocolate hazelnut layer. So I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I've lined 2 8-inch cake pans with some parchment paper, and I sprayed them down with a little bit of nonstick spray. So I'm going to pour my cake batter right into my prepared pans, and I'm going to pop them into my preheated oven. I'm going to bake them until the tops are completely set. And now my cake layers are completely cooled. So once they came out of the oven, I just flipped them over upside down onto a wire rack. And then you want to take a long serrated knife and split them down the middle. So just work your way around the cake layer, cut all the way through, and we're going to do this for both cake layers. I'm just going to set these aside for now until we're ready to frost them. And now for my frosting. So I've softened 3 sticks of butter, so that's 1.5 cups of butter, and I have 8 ounces of cream cheese. Just kept them at room temperature for an hour. I'm going to place everything into my mixer bowl, and I'm going to whisk this together until it's combined well and it's really light and fluffy. So next I'm going to add a whole can of dulce de leche. So this is cooked sweetened condensed milk, and this is going to add all the sweetness that we need in our frosting. It's also going to add a rich caramel color. I'm going to add that right in and then whisk this until everything is really well combined. After mixing my frosting, I removed most of it into a separate bowl, and I left about 1 cup in my mixer bowl. So now I'm going to make some of the chocolate frosting I'm going to use on the top. All I'm going to add is a few tablespoons of dark cocoa powder into my mixer bowl, and then just give that one last whisk, and then we'll be ready to frost our cake. And now we have everything ready to assemble our cake with. Now one more thing, and this is completely optional, you can add a little bit more moistness to the cake by adding some diluted apricot preserve. So I put together 1/4 cup of apricot preserves with a little bit of water, just put them into a dispenser bottle, give them a quick shake. And what you could do with this is just pour a little bit of that over the top. Now this cake is already pretty moist, but if you like to add a little bit more flavor and texture to this, just pour that right over the top. I'm going to add my frosting right on top here. Just use a spatula and spread it all the way to the sides evenly. Spread everything out. You want to assemble the cake using alternating cake layers. So the first one I did was the cranberry and poppy seed. Next, I'm going to add the chocolate and hazelnut. Add a generous amount of that frosting over the top. And then when you cut the cake open, you'll be able to see all the different layers on the inside. Got to top with my last layer, and now we can frost the top and the sides of the cake. I'm just going around the cake at the moment and just evening everything out. Now I'm gonna be doing 2 frosting layers today. So this is my crumb coat right now. I'm gonna place the cake into the refrigerator, let it set up for about 15 minutes. We'll come back and we'll give it another coat of frosting. I just finished adding a second layer of frosting to my cake, and now we can go to the garnishes. So I combined some hazelnuts and some dried cranberries together. I'm just gonna spoon them over the top into a ring around the edge here. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm just gonna sprinkle the pieces right along the rim here. Just like this. Now remember my chocolate frosting? I've transferred it into a pastry bag and I've tipped it with a round tip. So I'm just gonna go around the edge here. I'm gonna create a little barrier of frosting. I have a few tablespoons of chocolate chips here. I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of hot heavy cream and then use a whisk and stir this until it's completely melted. I'm gonna pour my melted ganache right into the center and then just use a spoon and gently push it to the edges here. And if you have some chocolate left over, you can always kind of pour it down the sides as well, just like this. I just put it into a disposable Ziploc bag, cut off the tip. After a few hours, the cake is ready to be served, and it goes perfectly with tea or coffee. And then once you cut open, you can see all the beautiful layers. You get the chocolate hazelnut, and then the poppy seed cranberry, and of course the frosting, the chocolate. Everything looks so gorgeous. And now it's time to give it a try. So of course I'm gonna get, both layers, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of frosting. I like to have everything in one bite. It's just so good. It's like having one of those everything muffins, except it's in a cake form. I just want to say the cake is so moist, even without any milk or butter. It turns out so delicious. Perfect cake layers. I absolutely love the addition of everything in here. You get a little bit of chocolate, the hazelnut, the poppy seeds, the cranberries. Everything combined together tastes really good. And of course the chocolate ganache on top, that caramel frosting really brings everything together. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Korolevsky Tort recipe that I shared with you today. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll get updates every time I post new videos. And if you don't already, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I love to see your creations. So if you do make this cake, make sure to tag me with Tatiana's Everyday Food.